This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Jo, hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Stanley Parable, ein Spiel, das schon eine Weile draußen ist und aktuell ist es im Humble Bundle. Und da habe ich mir das dann auch mal zugelegt und das ist zum Zeitpunkt der Aufnahme, das ist im Humble Bundle. Und ich wollte mal immer gucken, was es ist. Und da das ja, beziehungsweise ich weiß nicht schon, was es ist, aber ich will mal eine erste Erfahrung teilen. Das haben wir hier im Raum. Ja, wir sind Stanley. Und wie wir gerade gehört haben, unsere einzige Aufgabe, Tasten zu drücken. Interessanter Job, eigentlich. Ja gut, ne, vielleicht auch nicht. Können nicht springen, können ducken. Springen aber anscheinend nicht. Können normal laufen, können auch nicht schnell laufen. Okay, wir können laufen, ducken und das umsehen. Die Tür schließen.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Okay. Was? Gut, das war dann wohl schon eines der Enden, dass wir für immer hier bleiben. Also werden wir jetzt einfach mal aufs dem Schatten treten.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Der muss ja immer ordentlich ausschalten, ne, wenn hier keiner ist. Und nicht kopieren bleiben. Türen. Alle zu.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Tja, kann man ja mal gucken, ne? Man weiß ja nie. Komm ich da hin? Natürlich nicht. Gut. Input received. Okay. Soll ich nochmal irgendwas drücken? Nein. Username Access, ja. Sehr kreativ. Passwort ist schon Passwort. Ja, jetzt sind die jetzt mal hier ordentlich. Was drücken? Nein. Ja. Wo geht denn noch diesen Weg hier? Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ja, na gut. Ich kann nicht zurück, ja, war klar. Okay. Dass man diese ganzen Türen hier alle nicht öffnbar. Nur weil das, was öffnbar, ein tolles Wort davon, nicht zu öffnen, also nur die Türen, die bereits offen sind. Was haben wir hier?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Nicht verändern ohne den Tafelmanager zu fragen. Das ist interessant. Meeting Room Floor 4XX. Weekly Targets Admin. Marketing Mondays. Termination Tuesdays. We're broke Wednesday. Then it's Thursday merges. Pranking Floor Meetings. Okay. So, die Ziele unserer Firma. Push for Funding for R&D. Auf New Coffee Machine, okay. Okay, die Forschungsabteilung will eine neue Kaffeemaschine. Tolles Firmenziel. So, ein Chris aus der Besenkammer rausholen. Jemanden für Papiersynergie, okay. Papers are too synergized. Okay, die Papier ist hat zu viel Synergie. Yeah. Fire paper guy, somebody to fire the paper synergy guy, okay. Who moved my desk? We are solving interpersonal problems. To do. Synergize. Core value expenditures. Shift global market parrot? Parroting wahrscheinlich. Monetize Free-to-Play. Yeah! Oh Mann. Es gibt kein echtes Free-to-Play, meiner Meinung. Ganz einfach. So. Sollen doch hier Chris rausholen. Chris.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ich bin ja noch nicht fertig. So.
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Also nach dem Büro-Ding bleibe ich jetzt einfach mal hier drin.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
Yep. Das macht mir trotzdem Spaß. Das lasse ich mir nicht nehmen.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Genau deswegen. Ich will dich verwirren, lieber Erzähler.
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it. Maybe to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friend you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
Yep, broom closet ending.
Stanley was fat and ugly and really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Was? Okay.
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
Okay.
Ah, second player, it's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
Ja, das ist jetzt ein bisschen langsam persönlich.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Nein. Nein. Ich gehe meinen eigenen Weg. Ich bin hier schon bei der Tür nach links gefolgt. Eine rote Lampe.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float off the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Okay. Jo.
Stanley began screaming. Please,
Ja,
someone, wake me
ja.
up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh, was ist denn hier los?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Was? Was?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Okay. Stanley der Mann? Also logischerweise Stanley aber wohl der Mann. So. Jo. Da, 2 Enden in kurzer Zeit gefunden, Mensch. Meine Güte. Und ich sag einfach mal, mit diesem wunderschönen Ende, was gerade kam, beende ich mal den ersten Teil bis Stanley Parable und dann geht's gleich weiter. Im nächsten Mal. Bis dann.